the more you communicate during sex and about sex, outside of sex, it does get easier. So they'll be like, I can't come from sex itself, but I can come when he comes down on me, or when I use a toy. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. What's the problem? I don't know why I always hear the figure of sex 3 times a week.
Oh my God, who told you that?
People always come to me saying, you know, I read that 3 times a week is the best amount. And I'm like, where did you read?
Grace, you're here. It's so lovely to finally meet you. I've heard so much about you. Can we talk about you for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Your full title.
Yes.
Sex educator.
Yeah.
Intimacy coach.
Yes.
How the hell did you get into that line of work?
Yeah, it was kind of accidental. So I was in the healthcare world and I did a master's in health promotion. And at the time, I remember I was really interested in body image. I was about 22, 23-ish at that time. But a placement came up to do sex education in schools as part of the programme. And I was like, that sounds really interesting. And that was 10 years ago. So that's how I started, worked in schools for years. And then I said, I really want to work with adults. So I upskilled and I did a relationship and sex coaching course on top of the master's. So it all came together kind of, you know, bit by bit.
Organically.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you went home to the folks to tell them you're going to do a course in sex and relationship work, what was their reaction? I'd love to know.
Okay, so my mum's amazing. She's from Dublin. Very open-minded, very supportive, very liberal, you name it. Just like, go you, delighted. Dad is a rural Kerry man, very supportive as well. But like, you know, obviously, I think Dad would love if I had like, you know, a Rose of Tralee career where I can go up and be like, I'm a teacher, I'm a scientist, I'm an engineer, or one of these things. But no, I'm a sex coach. But he is very supportive. He is.
Yes.
It took him a while.
Sounds a lot like my dad, to be honest with you. Like, he won't be tuning into this episode.
No.
And he should. He should. Okay, well, we're here to talk about people's questions. We put a question out there for our listeners to see what came back, and we have a lot to get through. But before we do that, you do work with so many people who think they are broken, so to speak. The shame around our bodies, where do you think that has all come from?
Yeah, well, I think particularly in an Irish context, like our history, you know, the history within the Catholic Church, all of that. I always say, I mean, I've no problem with religion, be religious, whatnot. But, you know, the church as an institution and our history with that is quite dark when it comes to sex. And, you know, what happened to women and how, you know, gay people were treated, et cetera, et cetera. And that was going on for years and years and years. So now, thankfully, we are in a new era. This is very much a new Ireland. But like, it takes time to shake off that intergenerational shame. And shame around our bodies, it's multi-layered, isn't it? It's from the media. It's sometimes, unfortunately, from our mothers or parents or the way they talk about bodies. It comes at us from all different angles. And I think, you know, especially still in Ireland, though, we are a bit squeamish, aren't we, about being even naked around each other, or like, you know, you go abroad, you might go to a sauna and everyone's naked and they're not bothered. And it's just trying to imagine that happening here. I think we are moving towards it. I think it's just taking a while.
Oh, we're so slow.
We are. Well, yeah, I guess at some things. But in some ways, I think we've made really quick progress.
We have made quick progress, but like you said, we've a lot to kind of unpack. I have a lot of gay friends, obviously now in their mid-40s, who are still unpacking that whole time in the 90s when it was illegal to be gay. Yeah. And that obviously would have a huge, you know, impact on their psyche and how they live now, and they're dealing with that. And obviously sex education wasn't great in this country. We have talked about that. Porn, is that a big problem in your line of work, so to speak? You dealt with teenagers and now you're working with couples a lot. Is porn a big issue?
So yes and no is what I would say, right? In a way, it absolutely is an issue because there are huge issues with the industry and how accessible porn is now, how violent a lot of it has become. Like even just the mainstream stuff is really aggressive now. It's not a niche, you know? And again, the accessibility from such a young age, I'm absolutely not disputing that can absolutely have an effect. And it is something a lot of us are concerned about. On the other hand, I would say sometimes people like to scapegoat porn, like as if this is the cause of all these problems, but it's not, because, you know, things like body image issues, misogyny, you name it, they all have existed before porn. You know, they exist outside of porn. And I think it's really the lack of sex education and the lack of media literacy education that makes porn so influential rather than the porn itself.
That makes total sense, because I always worry as a parent now, and I have a tween, and I worry about outside influences and all this kind of stuff. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to deal with this? And I remember speaking to a child psychologist who was on my radio show years ago, and he said, children will always get their values from the home. So whatever is happening around, just remember. So, you know, if you're talking about sex and, you know, the door is always open and no question is off limits like today. And, you know, you're not misogynistic and all of that. That will give them the groundwork to hopefully be okay.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And even I run a RSC program for schools, and we go to loads of schools now. I'm from Kerry and I'm living in Limerick, so it is that side of the country more so.
So your dad loves that?
Oh, loves it.
Kerry,
well, actually, that's one of the well, it's good, you know, to be able to be closer to them as well. But with even the way I think of sex education, to me, the gold standard of sex ed is, yes, you give the facts, the knowledge, the scientific stuff, all of that, you know, facts about your body, make it less scary. But it's all fine to do all of that, but you need to also educate about empathy, about respect, about compassion. That's just as important as all the sexy bits. Like, that's a huge part of sex education. And I think sometimes we're missing that in how we're talking about sex and whatnot. So as you said, that starts from the home. And can be reinforced then hopefully in schools and other places as well. Because there'll always be influences. There'll always be, technology is going to just keep advancing. We can't really stop it, to my knowledge anyway. But we can, again, as you said, just try and get in there early and talk about all of those things.
And it's interesting what you said earlier as well about how parents talk about themselves and their body.
Yes, yeah.
You know, that's something that I'm quite conscious of, and sometimes it's hard, you know, to go, oh, if somebody pays you compliment, oh no, I don't, just stop, I look desperate to say to me. Like, it's so inherently Irish to say stuff like that.
It's automatic.
But that does drip feed into their psyche as well, doesn't it?
It does, because even I actually talked about this on Instagram recently. As women, we're often saying, take no notice of me today now, I've no makeup on, or the state of me, or take no notice of the house, it's a mess. Like, it's nearly part of our built-in language. We're always apologising for something, and although we can laugh at it, and a lot of it might be harmless, but all of those tiny actions, like saying sorry every day for multiple things, like that seeps into your subconscious brain. And that becomes part of a deeper core belief of, I have things to apologise for. You know, I should be apologising for things. Does that make sense? So children then absorb that. So it's just trying to say sorry a bit less as part of all of this as well.
And look in the mirror and go, I'm good enough the way I am.
I'm grand.
This is it. This is the best it's going to get.
You don't even have to be like, oh, I'm stunning, I love myself, my body's amazing. I mean, if you are, fantastic, but you don't have to be that. It's just like, my body isn't that important. You know, and just even modelling that to kids as it's the least important thing about you, really. And that can be more powerful than kind of really trying to get to the, I love it, I accept all of it, because that's really hard to do.
Is the teenagers, because you worked a lot with teenagers, is that the trickiest age to kind of navigate, because the hormones are all over the place?
Yeah, it can be, because we go to primary schools like 5th or 6th class, and it's obviously a different program. It's age appropriate.
Sure.
And at that age, they're still so open-minded. They're so open-minded about gender norms and bodies and different things. And yeah, there's laughing and there's giggling and squealing and whatnot, and you have a bit of fun with it. But the teenage ages could be a bit more tricky, because they're now conscious of being observed and being, you know, watched by their peers and what's the right thing to say and do. Depends on the group. Yeah. You know, if you have a group of all boys, it's a very different experience to going into a mixed group versus all girls. And, you know, it depends on the principal, the school climate. It all affects, it all trickles down, you know.
We've a lot to get through.
Yeah, I know.
We've a lot to get through. Okay, we have had so many questions in. A lot of people want to remain anonymous, but I'm just going to put these to you and see what you think. So someone said, my labia isn't symmetrical. Is that normal? labia. Yeah.
Completely normal. I think the idea that they should be perfectly symmetrical probably, again, might come from porn or, different things that we see online.
Do porn stars get a job done down there?
They can get a labiaplasty. Oh my God, I can't. I'm actually ironically such a squeamish person. I can't even and usually really someone should only be medically getting that done if there's a medical need, if there's sensitivity or soreness, where the labia is actually causing a physical problem. But for most people, it's just, they don't like how it looks. And the demand for that surgery, I believe, is increasing. Whereas really it's more, with the labia, right, you've the outer labia, let's say, and the inner labia, but the inner labia can peek through, right? And they can be all different shapes, sizes, colours. Snowflakes, no two are the same. So it's actually more common to have labia that is a bit uneven or does poke out a bit than this perfect, everything tucked in and looking all neat.
Maybe we should all get naked more often and have a good look at each other. That's
it. It's so funny, but I remember there was a Danish TV show and there'd be uproar if we did it here, but they brought naked adults out on stage. Nothing sexual about it, just naked adults. And kids were in the audience. They got to ask about people's bodies and got to ask them about what does that part and all different diverse kind of bodies. I'm like, God, imagine doing that here. But I could see the benefit to it.
There's huge benefit in that.
The kids weren't sexualizing it. There was nothing sexual about it.
No.
It was like,
education.
Why does that part look like that? And it was normalizing.
Because where else are they going to see a naked body?
Yeah. Well, exactly. Probably online could be the first time they ever see
online
for a lot of
and
people.
There's a lot of houses. I mean, my house certainly was not a nudie house.
It was mine.
You know what I mean? And then when we went to the swimming pool or to the beach, you would always get changed under a towel.
Yeah, God forbid, someone see.
So you'd never see any bits.
I know. Probably still do that as adults.
I know.
But anyway, yeah. So
I'm going to throw the towel off now next time I go to the beach, give them all a good look. Here's another one. My partner's foreskin doesn't pull back. Is that normal?
It's certainly quite common.
Is it?
In the sense that there can be all sorts of foreskin, just like with the labia, foreskin again can be different lengths. It can look a bit different. I would just say if it's causing difficulty to get it looked at. So if it won't come back, for some people then that could be tricky because they mightn't be able to actually wash properly, like around the head of the penis. Sometimes discharge can build up. You can get infections. It could be sore during sex. So I wouldn't worry necessarily about how it looks or whatnot. It's more so, is it actually causing any issues? The word is phimosis.
Okay.
I think you talked about that on a recent episode where the foreskin's very tight and won't retract.
And that can cause problems.
Yeah. So see probably a GP and then a urologist if there are issues. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's another one. My partner's penis curves.
Yeah.
Is that an old injury?
Imagine if you
could be. No, couldn't be.
I'm just thinking someone, taking out their penis and you're like, oh my God, what happened?
Well, are you okay?
Did you get a whack or something? No, penises are sometimes curved. It's just, again, the diversity of bodies. In fact, some people like a bit of a curved penis because the angle can feel really good, depending on which way it's curving, I guess. But no, I doubt very much it's an old injury. I mean, you could just ask them.
This just brings me to my partner played rugby, and him and all the lads. Because rugby lads, this is the great thing about, if you play male sport, they get naked and they're in the shower, but they all had names for their penises. So there was the dolphin who had a curved penis. There was the helmets, one of the lads who had a big helmet. I'm not telling you which one my husband was, okay? But isn't that amazing that they could see all the diversity?
Yeah.
And the smorgasbord of different penises.
Maybe we need to do that with our vulvas, our labia.
Imagine.
Different nice nicknames.
Yes, nice. Lovely, nice.
Very mean stuff.
Okay, here's some more. I get discharge every day. How much is too much?
Yeah, again, this kind of with real medical stuff like this, I would say, and it is important to say, you probably should talk to a GP or a gynecologist. Again, if you're worried. With discharge, like the vagina cleans itself out. So discharge is totally normal. It's an amazing structure, really, what it does. So getting discharge is normal. I would say, again, how much is too much? I know there is a rough figure of it can be like around a teaspoon. But again, this wouldn't be my area of expertise now. But I would say just if something has changed, You know, if it used to be this much and now it's a lot more, or it's a different colour, that's really important to check out. Or it smells. If it smells like really strong, really bad, that could be anything from just an infection. Sometimes it can be a sign of cancers, you know, if it discharges a certain colour. So with anything like that, it's normal to get quite a bit. I know women who wear panty liners quite a lot because they would get a bit more discharge. But just kind of know what's your normal.
Okay.
And then if something changes.
That's a really good tip.
Yeah.
And obviously, don't be in pain and don't be worried. This is the thing I find when we do question boxes and all that kind of stuff. People tend to leave things so long.
Yeah.
Because they're just afraid, or they don't want to deal with it, or they think they should be in pain, or it's kind of normalizing pain or normalizing problem. Like if you have any kind of worry, you don't want to have something like that in the back of your head, do you?
No. And I think this feeds into even the comfort with our bodies. Like that probably is part of the reason we are so slow to get stuff checked out, is this embarrassment. Whereas a health professional, they're seeing stuff every day. Like that's their job, to check it out. So don't delay. And even with the more emotional stuff, I read somewhere that there was a study that showed that couples will wait on average, I think it was over 4 years, with an issue before seeing like a psychosexual therapist or a couples therapist. It was definitely over 4 years. It could have been 6.
That's a lot.
That's a long time to be waiting.
That really is. And the stress of that is
and it builds up. So whether it's physical or emotional or whatnot, like, you know, you don't deserve to be going through your life stressed and worried about that. There are people, professionals, who can help.
And people always leave their sexual health last.
Yes. It's not seen as a priority. Yeah, it's not. And what I find so interesting is that, because I've been there in the sense that I had a condition called vaginismus for years. I had severe vaginismus for about 8 years of my life. So that meant, for anyone listening, I couldn't basically have penetrative sex. Or if I had, it'd be very painful. And it was so lonely. It was so isolating. So I can really empathise with so many people I work with, women and men, because I know what it's like to hold it inside and feel like, well, no one will want me with this. And there's no, what am I going to do? And this hopelessness. Whereas there's always support and help. It's just we need to really, one, believe that we deserve it. Believe I deserve to have a good, happy, healthy sex life. And
whatever
it's okay
that looks like.
Exactly. And it's okay to want that. It's not this luxury. It's something that, you know, you have the right to create that for yourself.
I heard once, my husband says it to me all the time, if you're not horny, you're not healthy.
Okay.
How do you feel about that statement?
Oh God, I think there'd be a lot of people feeling very unhealthy then. I think I like the intention behind it, in that sex is normal and healthy and it's part of being healthy and, you know, it's natural. But like, sex drives and libido differ hugely.
Yeah.
And they are affected by so many things, from what's going on in your life. It's very contextual.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on in your life? What's your stress levels like? What are your tiredness levels like? What's going on in your relationship? And it's normal for it to ebb and flow. But I would say, you know, if your drive and libido has really declined, or it feels like it's been gone for a long time, again, don't lose hope. It is still there. It's just learning how to access it and nourish it.
Okay.
And not just waiting for it to spontaneously come back. Because that's another myth of sex should always be organic and spontaneous, and we never need to talk about it and work on it. That is the absolute opposite of the truth.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one. Speaking of libido, I just want to jump into this. I'm a woman and my libido is much higher than my husband's, which I feel like we never hear about as women. Is this normal? What should I do?
Okay, so yes, it's normal. Speak as someone myself who's a very high libido. I totally get that it's actually not talked about, because women who have low libido probably look at women with high libido and think, oh, look at you. But then the side of that is when you're in a relationship, this is where gender comes into it, and gender norms and gender pressures. There's this idea that men should always be up for sex, wanting sex, chasing sex. And women are like, you know, we're allowed to be a bit sexual, but it's kind of like we give it then, you know, we give sex to our partner. It's a really dated way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what gender you are, what body you're in. Again, your desire is shaped by so many things. So yes, it's normal. But if it's causing issues in the relationship, that does sound like something maybe to explore with a therapist or a coach like myself, and find ways to just make it work for both of you, you know? Because I find that like you can't win. Like women with high libidos feel shame. Women low libidos feel shame. And men maybe with lower libidos feel shame because that's seen as not manly or not masculine.
Do you think another big problem is the expectation to be, inverted commas, normal? Like someone would say, oh, if you're not having sex, once a week, or if you're not sleeping in the same bed, your relationship is doomed.
Yeah.
So you need to find your own normal with your partner, don't you?
100%. And that can take time to really accept that. It can take time to really unlearn all of those like scripts and norms we've been given.
And expectations.
Yeah, a lot of it is made up. Like this idea, I don't know why I always hear the figure of sex 3 times a week.
Oh my God, who told you that?
People always come to me saying, I read that 3 times a week is the best amount. And I'm like, where did you read? Where? And it keeps coming up. I'm like, where is this coming from?
That's crazy.
And
who has the time for that?
This could be coming from one specific study from 10 years ago. This is media literacy again. This is where it's coming in. It's not about quantity so much genuinely as quality and how satisfied you feel with your sex life.
Okay.
And if you're having sex, let's just say twice a month, just for example, and that sex is fantastic. You both feel so connected. And also between those 2 times having sex, you're also kissing, you flirt, you have a strong sexual connection outside the bedroom. You're probably happy out. So there's no need to be aiming for a figure or a number. I think we focus way too much on that.
Do you find a lot of your work with couples is talking about that sexual connection,
yes.
And trying to unlearn that it's not just about penetrative sex
yes.
3 times a week?
Oh my God.
It's the flirting, it's a little spank on the bum, it's the touching and hugging. And do you find yourself saying that over and over?
Over and over and over. That's part of my job is just, repetition. But these things bear repeating because for a lot of people, that's new information. We haven't thought about sex that way maybe before. I know for myself, I'm in a happy long-term relationship, but I'd never been in a happy long-term relationship before this. So it's learning as you go and there's no blueprint for it. Focusing on what's happening outside the bedroom is so important because when we get really hung up on, again, numbers and how many times we're having sex and what positions, that's all quite surface level stuff. Whereas on a deeper level, if you feel seen by your partner, wanted, appreciated, valued and desired, that can all happen outside the bedroom. Don't just leave that to, we have to show that to each other through sex only. Because then you're putting all the eggs in one basket. You know what I mean? And then what happens is if there's a problem with your sex life for any reason, you've had a baby, you're wrecked, you're grieving, someone has erection issues, then the whole sexual relationship starts to crumble. Whereas really sex itself as an act, it's an important part, of course, of our sexual relationship, but it's not the whole thing.
No. Very good point. Okay. Why does my vagina make fart noises during sex? I never thought I would say that either on a microphone. But what do you think if somebody has this problem?
Yeah.
What would you say?
It's often called queefing. It's usually absolutely normal. It's essentially what's happening is if it's during sex, penetrative sex, air is getting pushed into the vagina and it's come back out. And especially if someone's pulling out the penis or toy completely and putting it back in, there's air getting in there and the air is, the air is squishing. That's not a proper word, Grace, but it's just like air moving in and out. And obviously, hopefully the vagina is wet as well. So it could be a bit squelchy, like all those noises. It's just part of sex. It can be awkward, but it's funny.
Not a loud song or something.
That's it. And also, usually, if those sounds are happening, it probably means the vagina is quite relaxed, which is actually a good thing.
Yeah.
You want a relaxed vagina. But if it's causing a real issue and you feel there's something kind of going on, a pelvic floor physio would be the person to see for that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Here's another one. I've never orgasmed with a partner, only on my own. Is this normal? I would say very normal. I've heard this so many times.
Yes. And I'm going to guess that it's a woman writing that question. We don't know, but I'm going to wild guess. Very normal. I know that was myself for a long time. I learned to pleasure myself and have orgasms myself before being able to with a partner. So when we think of orgasm, it is the ultimate letting go. It really requires vulnerability to get you over to that edge of climax. which is beautiful and amazing, but it can be quite hard to do. So with a partner, sometimes, even if we really love our partner, we're very comfortable, there's just that extra layer of vulnerability to really letting yourself go. It's great you can do it on your own. That's a great starting point. And I'd encourage people, masturbate, explore.
Go for it.
Toys, listen to audio erotica. You figure out what you like and enjoy. And then to transition then into hopefully coming during partnered sex, talking to your partner about what could help. Maybe it is using a toy. I get this a lot, actually. I get this idea of that women feeling they have to orgasm a certain way during sex. So they'll be like, I can't come from sex itself, but I can come when he comes down on me, or when I use a toy. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. What's the problem? If you're orgasming, sure, isn't that great? We get so hung up on how it's supposed to look. And most women do not orgasm from penetrative sex.
They do in porn.
Do they? But genuinely, it's like so much of it is acted and performed, and we can
it's taking the pressure off the situation.
Yeah. There's a really good motto to remember. It's from a book called Come As You Are by Emily Nagoski, really famous book in the sexology world. And the line is, pleasure is the measure. So if you want to ask yourself, is my sex life good? Is my sex life normal? Is it okay? Pleasure is the measure. Is it pleasurable?
Okay.
Are you enjoying yourself? Is your partner enjoying yourself, both physically and emotionally? If it's a yes, that's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine.
My clit feels too sensitive sometimes. What's that about?
Yeah, again, this can differ between people. Each person has their own unique sensory system, nervous system, anatomy, all of that. Again, this is where I will say, I know I'm like a broken record, but it is important to get it checked out if that's a new thing or it's something that's really causing a lot of change. For some people, it can go numb sometimes, so it's kind of maybe looking at how you're approaching sex. If it's too sensitive, maybe it's more about touching around the clitoris and building up to touching the kind of clitoral head itself, or using toys around it, just kind of being a bit slower with your approach can help. Or there are some kind of lubes and products that can almost desensitize a little bit temporarily. Again, probably one maybe for a women's health kind of specialist or gynecologist, somewhere along that line.
Yes.
But again, it's not necessarily a bad thing or a problem.
Could be a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, some people's nipples are more sensitive. Some people's lips, we've all these erogenous zones in our body. So it could be a good thing. It's just learning to work with your own body, isn't it?
I'm worried that because I haven't had sex in a very long time, my body won't work the same. Is that a thing?
Oh, no, it will work the same. That's fine. Nothing's going to happen. I wonder where that comes from. I hear that one a bit. It's interesting, isn't it?
It sounds more like nerves. You know what I mean? If
exactly.
It's just a nervous...
So I would say that's spot on, right? For a man, women, whoever, if you are going to have sex, you haven't had in a long time, it might be in your head, it might have built up. If we're nervous going into sex, it might make it a bit harder to get an erection, no pun intended, harder. Or it might make it more difficult to get wet and for the vagina to relax, which can take quite a while anyway. But that would be normal reaction to being stressed. Like if your body's stressed, it's not going to be like horny at the same time, So it's probably, as you said, more nerves, but nothing like closes up shop and it's like, okay, that's dusty now. We need, But I would say just take your time.
Take your time, get the lube out.
Get maybe a toy out again. Just like touch each other, kiss each other, really, really build up to it.
And take it slow. Yeah. Great advice. Okay, here we go. This is more about communication and all that kind of stuff. My partner keeps saying, just tell me what you want. But my mind goes completely blank in that moment. Yeah. How do I get better at that?
Yeah, okay. This is something I work a lot on with women. Now,
women. I knew you were going to say that. God.
Well, I will caveat that by saying it is mostly women that come to me, so it's not just a female issue.
Okay.
But look, there's a whole context behind that of men typically can orgasm easier than women, and it's not all about orgasm. But for women, we do sometimes have to think a bit more about and communicate more about how to be touched and whatnot. So her mind goes blank. What I would be asking, if she was in front of me, I'd be asking, why do you think it's going blank? What's happening for you there? Has that always happened? If we weren't in the heat of the moment, so we're not having sex, do you know what you like? Do you know what turns you on? Fantasies? Do you know what language you like being used, what you like being said to you during sex? Do you know where you like being touched? If you have all of that knowledge and you're going blank in the moment, people can we can kind of come out of our bodies a bit during sex and get in our heads. So what I work on with a lot of women is actually strengthening that mindfulness skill during sex. So trying to be really present.
Okay.
But you have to do that outside the bedroom as well. So if you're running around all day and you're up here and you're never in your body, you can't just go into the bedroom and expect to be fully in your body. Like, that's a big ask. That's a big gear change.
Very good point. So don't be doing the shopping list when you're having
sex. Literally, exactly. Yeah. Or up to the moment before you're having sex. It's kind of nearly a little bit of a lifestyle shift in like, how can I look at my life a bit differently, where can I spend a bit more time in my body? And that can be self-pleasure, or it can be just like everyday stuff, Jen. Like, if you're having your coffee, just slowing it down a bit, actually tasting it. I know that sounds unrelated. It's very related, because we live so much up here. We're so disconnected from our bodies. So yes, the mind going blank. Now, I should mention as well, sometimes people's mind can go blank if there could be trauma in the past, there could be significant stresses, they mightn't feel safe with a partner for any number of reasons. So it's really getting to the crux of why it's happening.
Okay.
And as a communication issue, what you can do with your partner is, a lot of this communication needs to happen outside of sex. So kind of just explaining, look, sometimes I go blank. And what you can do is maybe have a little list of things that you enjoy. And then in the moment, your partner could maybe ask you, okay, would you like to kiss for a bit, or would you like to use your toy, or would you like me to go down on you? And just have a few options. Because if you have options, that sounds now like, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, like pick an option. But like,
it makes complete sense.
It helps.
Yeah.
Rather than what do you want?
Yeah.
For some people, that's going to be a really hard question.
And very open.
Vulnerable.
Vulnerable question.
It does get easier. I will say that. The more you communicate during sex and about sex, outside of sex, it does get easier.
Okay.
You just have to move through the discomfort.
And obviously being Irish and all of that shame and all of that, we find it quite hard to talk about it. So we're all learning, I think.
Yes, we are.
Here's another one. My partner is bad at oral. How do I guide them without hurting them?
Yeah, good question. And I like that this person is considering their partner's feelings.
Yes.
But I would also caveat that, like, you can never 100% guarantee your partner won't be hurt. There's obviously a way of saying things. You know, you're not going to be like, you're really bad at that. Like, that's hurtful, it's unkind, and it's unnecessary. But, I think it's more about focusing on what you would like. So asking for, okay, could you go a bit slower? Could you maybe like move to the left a bit? It can be a bit technical at times, can't it? But not being afraid to actually ask for what you want, because they need to know that as well. So it's not sitting down saying, look, you're really bad at this, we need to work on it. It's more saying, oh, I really like getting intimate with you. I'm wondering, can we try a bit of this instead? Or could you actually try that technique instead? There's actually good, aside, not necessarily Pornhub and these websites, right? But there are good sites. There's one called Oh My God Yes, it's OMG Yes. And that's a really sex positive site with all different kind of physical techniques if you really want to look at that stuff.
Oh, wow.
So there is stuff out there that's not like performative.
Yeah.
And
everybody's different and everybody is different. And so
exactly.
Explore that as well.
And it's kind of just pinpointing what's bad about it, what's not working for you, and thinking what would feel better, and just ask for that rather than pointing out the things they're
Are you being mindful yourself in the moment?
Yeah, that can be part of it as well. Are you comfortable receiving? Because that can feel vulnerable. A lot of women struggle with receiving pleasure.
Okay.
But yeah, look, it's communication. There's no easy fix of communication. You just have to...
Do you find a lot of people, like more and more people are coming to you with these issues because they're feeling more comfortable that they can do that now, as opposed to 10 years ago when you kicked off?
I would really hope so. I suppose when I first started 10 years ago, I wasn't working with adults, so it's a bit hard to gauge. But I'm kind of constantly surprised at the openness of people in the best way. Even on my own podcast, The G-Spot, like, people have been so open and talking about their own sex lives and stuff as public figures and everything, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, that wouldn't have happened because the tabloids would have eaten people alive and everything. So I think there's more representation out there. There's more sex positivity even in media and shows, like sex education and stuff. And I think Irish people, rightly so, are kind of thinking, well, we deserve that. Why not?
would you say the majority coming to you is women?
Yes.
Say I don't want to sort this out.
Women, so it's mainly women coming to me, and the main reasons they come to me is because unfortunately, they think there's something wrong with them because they've no libido or they've a reduced libido.
Okay.
Usually there's nothing wrong with them. Usually there's perfectly valid reasons that their libido has changed. Yeah, and we get into that. Or women coming to me, which I personally love when I hear this, of being like, I just want more, like in the sense that I've never really had good sex. Sex has never really been for me. I don't know what I want, but I want to know what I want. I have women in their 60s coming to me saying that.
Isn't that amazing?
And I love that. I love that. And it's not about shaming their partners. It's not about anything blaming anyone. It's just this moment of, what am I missing? Like, there's some big deal here I'm not getting, because sex has never really felt focused on me, or I've never gotten much out of it. And I'm like, okay, let's go to work.
And it's not just the physical benefit and the emotional benefit. It's everything. It's everything, isn't it?
Well, I think how happy and fulfilled we are in that part of our lives. And as you said earlier, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
It's not about, you don't have to be the Samantha Jones of the group, having loads of sex with loads of people and doing every exploratory thing. If you are happy days, you could have sex very little, but still feel deeply sexual and connected to yourself. So sex is not just about libido and being up for it. It's about your relationship with yourself. And if you get more confident in the bedroom, I always find my clients, it ripples out. They get more confident in other areas of their life. And vice versa, if they get more confident at work, it ripples back into the home. So it's not just this isolated thing, and we should not treat it like that.
Well, there is that thing that you see in TV, and I don't know how much truth there is in it, but they say, oh, you must have had sex. You have this glow.
Yeah,
you have this glow about you.
Yeah.
We've time for one more, and I just want to put it to you. It says, my boyfriend has been nudging me to explore his G-spot. Can you explain, please?
Yes, I can. Sometimes it's called the P-spot because the G-spot in a man or male body is essentially, it's the prostate gland.
Yeah.
Which is about the size of a walnut, and it's simplifying it down now. It's kind of basically next to the anal passage in a man. We do not have a prostate gland. So our G-spot, or that area that would be more sensitive for women, is actually usually inside the vagina, and it's where kind of the clitoris and the urethra and the vagina kind of all meet up in one spot. But anyway, in men, it's accessed mainly through the anal passage.
Mm-hmm.
Not very far inside, about 2 or 3 inches. It kind of, if a man puts something inside his anus, it usually like presses up against the prostate, and that's really, really pleasurable. Like really pleasurable.
For all of them, no matter...
Pretty much. I mean, maybe some men mightn't like it, but like if the anatomy is there,
okay,
it should feel good.
Okay.
And... Now, what I would say is you don't have to go inside the anal passage. So, the perineum, or it's called the taint or whatever, that space between the testicles and the rectum, and that space of skin, like that's all connected kind of up to the prostate, the muscles and nerves connecting. So even if you like did a kind of a massage or held a vibrator against the perineum, you'd probably get G-spot stimulation.
Okay,
and it can make orgasms much stronger. I'm telling, like gay men are having a great time of it, and straight men need to talk to you. It doesn't mean you're gay. It's just a part of your body. Like the prostate doesn't know if you're gay or straight or bi or whatever. It doesn't care. It's literally just a little,
They're waiting.
Huh?
It's there waiting.
Yeah, exactly. Like don't waste it.
Don't waste
Enjoy it.
We're going to end on that. Thank you. You're an absolute superstar. I loved our chat today. Thank you so much. And that's all we've time for.